Well,
Hi
go.
guys. Hold on. Cancel the recording and we'll start again.
No, we don't do that. We just go. It's
You
fine.
know,
Yeah.
freewheeler. All right. Oh, hang on a sec. For whatever reason, it's just frozen. Hold on. All right, sweet. We're back. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Solvitur podcast. Today's going to be a bit of an interesting episode, a bit different because it's just your host Linus and I today. But it should make for quite a good episode.
Yeah, we're just gonna kind of have a more of a chilled out vibe. We're gonna talk about kind of the episodes that we've filmed so far. So obviously, I did one yesterday, as you know, Solas with Dina, and then we had Ewan and we had Damon. And they're all very interesting. What was, obviously you were with me on the Ewan one. What was your key takeaway with regards to confidence?
Well, I think Ewan sort of hit the message home quite a lot that you really needed a drink. So I thought I'd take his advice for this meeting. But no, in all seriousness, I'd say probably just doing it, you know, as in taking the first leap. So when he was saying about being ill and it doesn't matter how you're feeling, part of confidence is you've still just got to crack on. It's about motivation, really. And I thought that really hit home. And I related to that. If something needs to be done at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you're feeling.
Yeah, I really like that idea. You know me, like I think I'm right on the same wavelength with you and with regards to that, because when I was doing for those listening, not everyone's going to know this, but I'm sure most will. When I was doing the gold gloves training for the boxing match, you know, for him, we'd be in there doing sit-ups and stuff like that, and he'd just be walking around. There is no sick, there is no tired, there is no maybe tomorrow. There's only now, you know, and that's important because when people say to me, "I'll do it tomorrow," the only thing I get from that as a guarantee is I'm definitely not going to do it today.
Yeah,
right.
It'll always be tomorrow.
Yeah. And if it's always tomorrow, then eventually it just becomes never.
Yeah.
And that's quite sad. Yeah, the Damon one was also interesting. You listened to it, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I listened to that while at the gym, so multitasking. But no, really enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. I liked what he was saying about experience and skills as far as confidence concerned. Yeah, I thought that really hit the nail on the head.
I think so, because obviously you've just done a year in industry. For all those listening and don't know, Solas is just done a year in industry. Do you want to just talk about that briefly?
Yeah, sure thing.
I think that skills conversation will come into you because you've learned a lot of skills this year. So
yeah, no, sure thing. So I'm doing the same course as Linus, so law and business, but as opposed to doing my final year, I decided to do a professional placement year. So I've been working for a year at Hugh James Solicitors, and they've got an office up in Cardiff, and that's where I was living for sort of the past year. I think I left a couple of weeks ago, and I moved there end of September. But I'm still actually working in the position at the moment, just doing it remotely. But as far as what it is, so it's a paralegal in the military team. So it's in the industrial disease department, but the military team, and it's talking to a variety of veterans about injuries that they've sustained whilst in service. So it can be from PTSD to noise-induced hearing loss, to general personal injuries, also a bit of NFCI, so non-freezing cold injury. And I've gained some invaluable experience in a sector that I didn't even really consider or know that much about before deciding to apply. And yeah, I've learned a lot of things. Once again, that I wouldn't even have thought I would. You
learned to always wear earmuffs.
Well, yeah. If you're around loud weapons,
yeah. You're earmuffs, and then a couple of years down the line, you get this. Yeah, well,
it's either Linus or tinnitus.
Yeah, yeah, or both. That was very different. That was very Dave French, just or both, you know. But yeah, no, I think you learned a lot. You know,
massively so.
Putting aside just the professional stuff, you know, living on your own.
Yeah, that's true.
Young lads, you got to seize the moment a bit. You basically you're learning how to deal with yourself and how all the consequences you.
It was a bit like university on steroids, really. So obviously, when you're at university, you're with a bunch of like-minded people, and you're all living together, say first year, and also going forward in shared houses. Now, I was in an apartment on my own in a country that I'd only visited. It seems weird saying another country, but in a country or city that I'd only ever visited once, and that's to see the university, which I didn't end up going to. So I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about independence, and also going sort of full circle once again to what I was saying about Ewan when he said you just have to do it. I was living on my own, so if the place was dirty, I had to clean it. If I wanted to eat, I had to go and get food. It's not like living with parents or living with housemates and they get fed up with your mess and they decide to clear up. So yeah, I understand that. I was going to say quite well, relatively well. And of course, I was going to and from the office every day. So yeah, I had to be organised.
And so your skills, like what Damon said, obviously you would have picked up skills very quickly without choice. I mean, they would have literally just had to have come to you from just doing things. Do you want to talk a bit specific just about the calls? Because I think that links. Sure. Do you want to explain a bit about that?
Yeah. So as far as training was concerned and actually building the skills that I didn't really have when starting the placement. So we had 2 weeks of set training, but because of COVID, that old thing, I wasn't actually able to go to Cardiff until the September. So I started, I think it was mid-June last year, so 2021 mid-June. And I had to work remotely at a law firm as a paralegal when I'd only had 2 years of experience studying law at university. So no practical, sort of week-long internships in law firms here and there, but nothing significant as far as practical skills. So part of my job was to actually call up the clients and complete initial inquiries. So it's just taking basic information, looking at symptoms, looking at where they've served, taking sort of personal information as well, some address and that kind of thing. And so while the calls are only about 20 minutes long, not having been able to actually sit on a call, that makes it incredibly nerve-wracking having to make one. So we'd had all the training and it's a bit like university really. So they tell you, okay, this is what you need to know. This relates to that, etc. But when you actually need to implement it and you need to actually do it, then that's where I think the confidence comes in. It's not so much about knowledge, but actually putting it into practice. And so making that first call, I was incredibly nervous. But then, nowadays, if I was to do the same call, it wouldn't be an issue. It would just be another call, just another part of the job. And so I think practice, I sound like my parents saying this, but practice makes perfect. But actually having to do that first call was the most difficult part. But once I've done, I'd probably say comfortably hundreds, then they don't really seem that difficult anymore.
I think like the process of repetition is, repetition's the mother of skill after all. So when you keep doing something over and over again, you will slowly just learn how to do it. That's the one thing that what tends to knock my confidence a bit sometimes is when I don't see a payout from effort. So so let's say you want to say Linus to yourself, you want to drop 10 kg, right? Okay, cool. We're just going to reduce our diet. We're going to exercise ridiculous amounts. Within a week, I'm already seeing difference. I'm seeing improvements. I'm seeing, that progress line that drives you to keep going.
Yeah.
I think this is applicable to our generation as well. Sometimes when you're putting a lot of effort into something, but you're not getting that reward, you're not seeing that progression, it can seriously knock your confidence. Because you might be sitting going, well, what am I doing here? And I felt that at times with my degree. I don't know if did you feel that with anything you've done?
I can relate to you as far as, how you said the gym and that kind of thing. So I think a lot of it is just about consistency. So you can go to the gym every single day for a week and you can have an amazing diet. but say out of a month you only do that for 1 week, and then the other months you're going a day a week to the gym and you're eating shit food, basically, it doesn't pay off. So I think it's a difficult one, because the gym's just one example, and you know that if you do have consistency and balance in your life and with your diet and with exercise, then it does pay off, because that's just sort of proven fact. But as far as having belief, say, I don't know, from the placement year, I think it's looking at people around you that are offering advice, I'd say. And so you can talk to people that have gone through the same motions that you're currently going through, and that aren't familiar to you, but because they've done it and they're in the position they are now. So take solicitors, for example. So they've done the university route, they wouldn't have had the option to do the SQE, so they'd have done the LPC and a training contract. So they may well not have liked it, but they've done it and they've got the experience and they've got the skills. And if they say, this is what you need to improve on, this is what you need to look at, this is how you do it, and you actually take that advice on board from people where the advice has clearly worked out for them, and I think that's a great way of almost getting that belief. So if you don't know why you're doing it, you look to other successful people that have done it, and you can take on board their comments. I said, just as an example. Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I was going to talk. I prepared topics. For our audience, we actually put some preparation into this. It's we don't just rely on text. We don't just turn up. No. We do put a bit of preparation. And I have prepared this topic, which kind of links in with that experience that you've just talked about. See, my grandma's come over from Australia, as you know, and she stayed, and I went back for a visit, and I got this idea in my head of like old people and why they're so confident. You know, there does get a certain stage, and this is very stereotypical of old people, I apologize, where they just don't care what anyone thinks anymore. They're quite happy to walk out of the bedroom with their dressing gown half undone and just not think twice. They're quite happy to just plow on through a zebra crossing and just go, well, I'm old. And it's just that, that sense of confidence they get. I just thought it was very funny. It was very amusing. I just wanted to try and understand it. And I was maybe trying to get your opinion on it.
I must admit, it's not something I really considered. But the first thing that came to mind when you were saying about walking across the room naked and not really caring who sees, I'd probably say they don't care that much about the potential repercussions. They don't really care either what other people think, or they've got to the stage in life where if they want to do something, they'll do it, and they're far more focused on their own drive or motivation. Yeah.
So what you're saying is they've just become more. Well, I think you've touched on confidence a bit there, because if you care too much about consequences, and if you're too risk averse, considering risk, your tendency to just do something, will be reduced a lot less, right? I think Dave did it in the first episode when he said that guys and women and men have very. And this is very generalistic, so take it with a pinch of salt. There was a study done of how prepared and how certain a woman has to be to do something, and how prepared and how certain a man has to be to do something. And this is probably why do things that they've set their mind to. They do a better job than men, because apparently women have to be like 80 or 90% certain.
Yeah.
Us, it's like anything from 35 to 45%, we're good. Like, yeah. So it's very interesting, because maybe that's a good thing in some circumstances, but maybe not always. And I guess that even brings into question how you use your confidence, and is it always right to approach things with full confidence, or sometimes you maybe have to hang back a bit.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I've just noticed that my camera is incredibly dark, so I'm going to see if I can try and sort that out quickly. your
Yeah, we study law. We study law, not IT.
Yeah, you can tell. Right.
So yeah, you, James, and then you're going to be in third year. How are you feeling? How's your confidence in your personal life going?
I'd say it's going quite well. I would. What was that? Sorry.
Day in, day out. Well, give me an example when you used your confidence in the last week in your personal life.
Okay. I would say that one aspect of confidence is being reassured by your own discipline. And one example would be, so yesterday, after work, so finished work at 5:30 because still working remotely from Exeter. So finished work at 5:30, and then I went down to the good old pub in Exeter, as you do with mum and dad, the Double Locks, in case anyone's heard of it. Great place. If you haven't, I'd recommend. And so went for a drink down there, came back, had dinner, and I think it was about, I don't know, maybe 8 o'clock, maybe slightly after 8:30, something like that. And I'd got a message from one of my friends to go to Budley, just because they were having barbecue and fire and whatnot on the beach, just chilling out. And I knew I had work today. And so I was umming and ahhing about, oh, is it good to drive half an hour there and back? Because, I mean, it would take me to 9:30, regardless of how long I stayed there. But then I thought, as long as I don't get absolutely battered, as long as I'm sensible.
Driving, most
exactly. Well. So that's the thing. No, so this is the thing. So I made sure only to take one can. So I was being sensible and looking after myself, but going back to discipline. So but it was also about the length of time I was going to be there. And so I ended up driving there, had a great time, spoke to some people I hadn't seen for ages and spoke to some good mates, and then came back and I was still ready to go to work the next morning. So, I mean, it's a bit of an abstract example, but the fact that, as opposed to thinking, oh no, I've got work, I can't go and do anything, but the fact I was able to balance it.
Yeah, you were confident enough to know in yourself that you valued responsibility.
Exactly. And it wouldn't have any adverse effects on work in the slightest. However, if I'd have thought, oh no, I need to get up, say 7 o'clock and make sure I was ready for work, there's no way that I could possibly get back or there and back in time, then, you know, I wouldn't have gone. So that's just one example. Another example would be the gym. So I think a great way of being confident is to look after yourself. I always say, if you can't look after yourself, then how can other people expect you to look after them?
Yeah,
as an example. But I think what you've touched upon, and I'm sure we'll talk about it with you doing your boxing, but as far as, I mean, healthy body, healthy mind, but also just being comfortable in your own skin. And I think if you feel like you look good, or you feel like you've done some exercise and it's making you happy for whatever reason, or you lost a bit of weight, then I think that impacts on your confidence in a very good way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to sort of slightly disagree with you from a personal standpoint. I agree with everything you said. It's just, you know, speaking of my confidence doesn't change. Well, my confidence is not at all dependent on my physical appearance.
Okay, sure.
You know, and there's a reason for that, and that's because I put great value on reputation, and I put a great value on achieving things that others think I possibly couldn't, right? So, and I think that's something that everyone who's listening, you need to understand. If someone tells you, no, you can't do this, if someone tells you, no, you're not good enough, you are the luckiest person in the world, because you've just been given fuel there to do something and show them why they're wrong. So that's something you've really got to consider. And yeah, I mean, obviously the boxing and the gym, yeah, it was good for me.
Did you find boxing challenging? Or was there a biggest aspect of boxing, or an aspect of the boxing that you found to be the biggest challenge, would you say?
So I was physically healthy, I was physically fit. Some would argue that I'd gone too far, and they can have that opinion, that's fine. But it had a massive mental toll.
Okay.
Serious mental toll. Not with regards to confidence. Yeah, okay, sure. There were times where I walked in there, especially I chose a sparring partner who was the hardest hitter in our boxing group.
Why did you do that?
Why did I do that? No, no.
That's a given. But
I did that because I don't know who told me, but someone always told me that in life you've always got to surround yourself with people that are better than you at something, right?
Sure.
And when I walked in there, my immediate kind of thought was, right, I want to be paired with the best boxer here. I want to be paired with a guy that if he hit me in the head, that's it, right? So I chose that, and my confidence took a massive toll. One where we were sparring and he caught me with a right hand cross. I didn't tell my girlfriend at the time, but I got knocked like clean out, and he basically held me out. I didn't tell many of my mates either because I didn't want them to worry about me. But yeah, that seriously affected my confidence. So I was considering, a part of me was like, "You're gonna quit now."
Yeah.
But then the next day I woke up and I had training every Tuesday and Thursday. I got knocked out on the Tuesday. It probably shouldn't have gone to training. I had a concussion. But me being me, I was like, no, it's just medical stuff. That'll be all right. I went there the next day and we had to spar again. And I chose to spar him first. And he hit me again and I didn't go down. So I knew what it felt like. But yeah, I think that's the shock value, right? The first time you were on a call having had no real in-person training, and you're talking to someone about something that's probably very serious to them.
Yeah, well, very serious. This could be one of the most important things going on in their life. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have that shock value that kind of hit your confidence temporarily? Like, God.
Yeah. It was funny, actually. So, actually, the time before making the call, the time before being on the call, I was far more nervous than when I was actually on the call. When I was chatting to the client, I was in the swing of things, and although it didn't go perfectly, it went far better than I'd have thought it would. And so I think you've also touched upon it quite well there. It's not doing something expecting for it to go perfectly, but it's doing it knowing that the next time you do it, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
Big time.
Again, touching on, you want to be more confident. Repetition is the mother of skill. And it's okay to fail.
Big time.
Don't get me wrong. I hate losing. I hate it so much. I could be too competitive. And everyone was saying to me, all my friends, they were like, "Oh, you've got this fight, mate. It's no problem." There was not a single cell in my body that thought I was going to win. Not a single one.
Now that you did win.
Yeah, I lied to everyone. Everyone said, "Linus, you're gonna win." Yeah, no problem. I didn't think I was gonna win. Yeah. In fact, I'm 90% sure I was gonna lose. But I put in the work a lot because I knew that was the determinant. I also want to talk to you about imposter syndrome, because I tend to get it a lot, especially if I'm in a room with very smart people. I always feel like maybe I don't belong there, right? And yeah, I did get that a lot with loads of things that I do, loads of positions that I put myself in. But I'm very aware that failure is okay, because if you pull it off, if you pull it off, you just look around and you're like, they have no idea. They honestly have no idea that I did not think I was going to pull this off, and I pulled it off. And it's like, that's rewarding for me. I don't know about you.
I can agree with you there, yeah. I'd say there's a lot of confident people, or people that look incredibly confident, that have some serious internal battles going on where they feel scared shitless.
Oh yeah,
I felt like that before, yeah.
I went, as I said, when you said what was the hardest thing, is not the physical. The physical is just hard, but you feel pain. And then when you're an idiot like me and you say to your coach, "Oh, while I'm doing an ab crunch, hit me as hard as you can in the stomach," and then he goes, "Oh, I don't have a glove," so he just stands on me. Right? But that's pain, and that pain goes like straight away. The pain was the mental pain. I went to some pretty dark places throughout that period of time where you know, you're eating the same thing every day, and it's just like you're watching yourself slowly turn into just an animal, but not necessarily in a, oh, he's an animal good way, but just like a really habitual creature. But that's what I had to do, and it was parts of it were awful, of course. But
here's something I think would be quite interesting, not just for me because I'm quite curious, but also for everyone listening. Why did you actually do the boxing? You know, you said you had to do it. You didn't have to do it at all. You chose to do it, but why?
Someone said to me, I mentioned that I'd like to do it, and then this person next to me turned around and said, oh, you'd never do that, you'd never succeed at that, or you'd get eaten alive or something. So I signed up.
About proving that person wrong.
Yeah, but I will say, what I will say is, when you're taking confidence and you're throwing yourself into something with self-belief, the reasons that you started doing it might not be the reasons that you still have for doing it whilst you're doing it, right? Because my reasons did, you know, I started raising money for charity, for Great Ormond Street and things like that, and it became a lot more than that. And I was glad it did, because realistically, if I really stepped out of that ring and gone, yeah, proved you wrong, got you, I mean, that would have just been like, you know, what a dick I would have looked like, you know. So I'm glad that it did you know, turn into something different, from that perspective.
That's not the only time where you've done something besides academic where you've had to be quite confident, is it? You're quite big on your rap and your music and all of that. You fancy telling us a bit about that?
It's different. It's different. I was talking to this on the Dina episode, because you haven't seen that yet while we're recording.
Released.
But you will see it. Great. But yeah, she was talking a lot about how she is still nervous, and she's been acting for years, and she is still nervous before she gets on stage. But just because she's nervous doesn't mean she's not confident.
Yeah.
And I know you have seen a lot of people that have insecurities, or they've got a reason that they're not doing maybe what you're doing. You may, when you get up and do a presentation, it's just flawless and you're confident. So I've seen you present
flawless, but
but flawless from the perspective, there's no stuttering, there's no repetition, there's no hesitation, right? So maybe you're doing that, and maybe you are nervous, but you approach it and you hit it with confidence.
Yeah.
Because that counteracts the nerves in some ways. And I found it really interesting that, you know, Dina still has those nerves. But yeah, well, I mean, with regards to me, when I'm on stage and performing, is again, it was like Ewan was saying on the barback episode. There's a lot of passion there, right? First and foremost, it's one of, you know, I do a lot of things just like you do, but not all of them are for a very pure reason, right? We do degrees, we study law, so we can get a job, so we can earn loads of money, so we can then give our kids what our parents have given us, and do all these different things, right? But that's not a pure reason, you know. The pure reason is like, when you've got a pure reason, it's like, I'm doing this for passion, or I'm doing this, you know, to make others happy or make other people excited. So yeah, it takes a lot of confidence, but it's not something that affects me. It's just like you said with the cold calls, you know, with the calling the clients. You know, I've done it a lot now, and I just enjoy it. I turn those nerves into anticipation, because I know that anticipation will quickly turn into excitement, and it always does. So yeah.
No, I understand that. I used to do a lot of drama while at school, and it's funny actually. So what I was saying about the anticipation before the call, I used to find that a lot with drama. When I was actually doing it, performing the actual, or in the actual play, I knew that I remembered all of the lines. I'd acted it out dozens of times, and so I had the experience, I had the skills. But actually, when I needed to perform, I wasn't thinking, oh my God, can I remember everything? What's going to happen? I was thinking that before I was performing, But when I was actually performing, I just relied almost on muscle memory because I'd put in so much practice. It just felt natural. And so when you're actually doing something, if you have put in the practice with performing or your rapping or music or the boxing, and it comes to that moment where a lot's expected of you and you're in the moment and you are actually doing it, you don't really think that much about nerves.
Yeah,
At least from
because
my
you're
experience.
prepared. Yeah, especially if you're prepared. Like,
yeah,
because there's stuff that will happen, obviously, like with anything that's outside of your control, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the real confidence comes in, right? When I was in the locker room before going out to fight, I was banking on I had another 6 minutes, right?
Yeah.
The bloke that was out before me got knocked out in the first 20 seconds. So I was like just sitting there listening to my, headphones. And then next thing I know, coach is in there. He's like, get up, going, fighting now. And I just eaten like 5 slices of chicken. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, we're going now, get going. And that was a bit for me. And I was like, all right, cool. It was going to happen. What's the difference? 6 minutes, nothing. Let's just do this. Let's go. No. And as well, like, no offense, like I love the crowd. Don't get me wrong, you know me, I love the crowd. Not when I was boxing, I didn't even see them. I didn't even the 2 best mates by my side didn't even know they were there. I had to watch it back in the video. I was so laser focused because in my opinion, when you do something that no one else is doing, you've already won. Even if you fail, you've already won. That's why I wanted to talk to you about your half marathon. So you run Cardiff half.
I did. Yeah.
You're not like
a runner.
You're not natural. You're not a natural athlete that wakes up, in the morning, and is naturally got a 6-pack and can run 10 miles, right? So, what made you think, this is actually something I could do? And why did you do it?
A few reasons. So, I went into my placement year wanting to get as much out of the experience as possible. That was my main goal. It wasn't really much. There wasn't a specific goal. Just go in and try and do everything. And this half marathon came up. One of the solicitors was doing it that I got on quite well with, and he mentioned it to me. I think it was in the October, actually. He mentioned it to me. And I laughed and said, no, I'm not going to do that. I thought he was talking about 10K, and I was like, okay, maybe. But half marathon, I think it was about 21K. And I said in the October, no. It then got round to about January, the following year, so this year. And one of my friends that I'd met on the placement, or one of my colleagues, he said, I think there was a team of 5 from our department that was supposed to be doing it. So this solicitor, there was, I think, 2 others. So there were 3 already doing it, and there were 2 spaces. And the half marathon was due to take place at the end of March. So there was a couple of months and they were still missing 2 people from the team. So my colleague says to me, oh, why don't we do it? It'll be a bit of a laugh. And he was so up for doing it that he reminded me about being enthusiastic for new things. So I thought, yes, let's give it a go. Why not? At the end, he unfortunately got stuck in another country, so he didn't end up running it.
And then you were doing it.
Well, exactly, yeah. But no, I got a fancy medal that I could show off to him. But as far as why did I do it, one of the reasons was because I'd never done it before. I'm, as you correctly said, I'm not a runner by any means, but I think bringing confidence back into the conversation, I think it's built off getting outside of your comfort zone, and through doing that, you then get a larger comfort zone. Your comfort zone grows. If you keep going outside of it, it expands. And so following the half marathon, I then decided to sign up for a 10K. It's obviously a bit less, but from not being a runner in the slightest to then jogging 21K, and then it would have been maybe a month and a half later, doing 10K just around the sort of Bay Area. It was great. It's something that I never thought I'd have done, but because I went out of my way and did it, I got a new experience. I found something I enjoyed, and I'll most likely carry it on. And so I'm very glad that I did do it.
Yeah, you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly as Solomides has said, great things do not come to those who wait. Great things come to those who do, which I think is really key. I had one last question before, because we got a couple of audience questions, I believe.
We do, yeah.
But I have one last idea to float to you, mate.
Okay.
Manufacturing confidence when you have none.
I think that confidence is actually made up of quite a lot of things. So I know Damon mentioned experience and skills, and I agree. But expanding on that, I'd say confidence is dealing with criticism. Confidence is presenting yourself. Confidence is being able to go into any sort of environment and being able to hold your own. Confidence is standing up at, well, I guess I already mentioned presentation, but standing up in front of a load of people and talking, or asking someone out on a date, as an example. There's a lot of different aspects, but I think the best way to manufacture it is to have a step in the right direction. So going back to what you're saying about the question about the running the half marathon, I could have done a 5K. It could have been a 5K park run. And if I wanted to get fit or do something new, then I could have done that. So it's not about doing something that seems completely out of reach. I mean, that is a great way of getting confidence, especially if you achieve it. But I think if you do something that you haven't done before, it could even be painting, just getting a different skill that you've absolutely no idea about and practicing it. And you'll also get a lot of transferable skills, which you don't realize either when you're doing it or before you sign up, but it just sort of happens automatically. So I think doing something different, even if it's small, is a great way of manufacturing confidence. How do you feel about it there?
Well, I always there's this song that I love, so by the Struts. It's called "Could Have Been Me."
Okay.
And the whole song is the band talking about, I don't want to be watching other people doing things that I could have done if only I just had a go.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting you talked about painting. Just for clarity's sake, I'm shit at painting. But I have given it a go, and I wouldn't know I was shit at painting unless I'd given it a go.
Exactly.
But no, the manufacturing confidence point, even when I am confident before I do something, I know that sometimes once I actually start doing it or get out on a stage, I might not be so confident. And that was my biggest fear with the boxing, because I rapped beforehand, opened the performance, just no nerves whatsoever. Yeah. In fact, brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Best performance I've ever done in my heart, and everyone in the crowd was having a great time. So that was great. That helped my confidence a lot.
Yeah.
But with regards to manufacturing it, when I was stepping through those ropes, I said, if you don't win this, and if you don't try your best and put on a good show, everyone you care about in the audience is going to die a horrible, horrible death this evening. And what I meant by that was I was creating false reality in my head that if I didn't get the job done, something bad was going to happen. I can make something seem very, very real in my head. And so that's what drove me. I was like, I'm not going to let that happen. So every punch I took and every punch I delivered, I had that, in my brain. And that's why when people were saying to me when afterwards, like, oh yeah, we knew you were going to win the whole time. When I was in there, I felt like I didn't know what was going on, because I was just focused on the next second, not the whole thing itself. So I think what you're saying about taking a small step, it's like you begin to compartmentalize things in your life a bit more, and put it in sections and put it in steps rather than putting it in leaps and bounds. Life actually becomes a lot more simple and a lot more easy. It's exactly what we're doing here, with this podcast and with everyone listening, which we really appreciate. It's like it doesn't. We're not aiming to get 1,000 views on an episode. We're not aiming to be millionaires or anything. We don't get any money for this. What we're doing is, well, we got 70 views last time. Let's try and get 71, right? And I think when you put that in perspective, it does not seem quite a mountain. So.
Yeah, no, just touching on that, I think, because obviously you and I, we've done a lot of things outside of academics where it's been able to grow our comfort zone, and it's also given us transferable skills and helped us build our confidence. And I find it really, really interesting. I imagine you do as well, chatting to people from all sorts of walks of life or backgrounds and also careers, where you can almost relate to the importance of those transferable skills, but also get inspiration for doing new things and building your own confidence. So I think it's great chatting to all sorts of different people. However, the overriding or overarching sort of similarity between them all is the need for confidence in what they're doing. And
yeah, exactly.
It's great talking about that and sharing it on this.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you will never see a single person come on this podcast that is not confident, and they may not have been confident their whole life. In fact, they may not have been confident 2 days before they agreed to come on the podcast, but by them saying, yeah, I'll come on and talk to however many people, display my face online or whatever, that's confidence. That's it. Yes, they came on, they did it. Could have gone bad, could have gone well, but they gave it a shot, gave it a go. So it's very important. We have some audience questions, which we're very excited about. I'm gonna ask you your one first.
Yeah, go for it, and I'll ask you the other one.
This person, I think it's from someone called Emily. Yeah. So Emily is a student, and she has just got the next stage in an application for a law firm. So firstly, well done, Emily. That's great. She wants to ask your advice on how to approach the interview stage, as she says she's quite extroverted. She's quite introverted, and although she looks very good on paper, sometimes she tends to be very nervous during interviews.
Twofold. So, well, I'm sure it's more than twofold, but the first two things that came to mind. Firstly, I was going to swear there saying know your shit, but know your CV. So if they ask you a question about that, bang, no hesitation, you know it inside and out, and you can answer a question on it. Also know the firm. So I remember before I had the interview with Hugh James, I researched the firm as much as possible. I did actually, quite unlike me, put a bit of effort into actually doing my preparation. And one thing I found about the firm was that they'd won, I can't remember it now, I would have interviewed over a year ago, but they won a specific award, or one of the departments won a specific award quite recently. And so when I was asked about what departments I was interested in, I said, I don't really know too much information about this. However, I recently saw that you'd won X awards, which for, doing whatever reason, therefore I would be quite interested in that. I think from an interviewer's point of view, that's a big green tick, because they've gone away and seen, okay, not only have you given an answer, but you've backed it up, and you've backed it up based off research into the firm. So I think that's great. So I say, Emily, understand the firm that you're applying to, and also pick out some key moments that you've used in your CV and also outside of your CV where you've developed just a sort of range of skills. Yeah, I hope that answers.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I think been very lucky. Good advice there, Alex.
Well, so I've got one for you, mate. This is from an individual called Dan. And he said, Dan, and he hasn't mentioned about what he's doing, but he said, am I an unconfident person if I often get nervous? And this was just a sort of open question, but obviously I'm directing it to you. So what do you think about that? can someone be unconfident if they're also nervous quite often? I think we sort of touched upon it with Dina, but
if you're not nervous, you're not aware of your surroundings.
okay.
Let's be honest. The people listening who know me, I do present myself to be this ever confident, ever, kind of nothing can stop me. I'll get up in front of this many people, and I will, but it doesn't mean I'm not nervous.
Yeah.
Because I remember, the funny thing is, every time I've been nervous, something good has happened to me.
Yeah.
Seriously, Dan, if Dan's listening, every time I've been nervous, something great has happened.
Yeah.
And that might be you're nervous in your personal life because you're about to tell someone something important or something you feel, or you might be talking to a new group of people that you've never met before. But there's always something to be had. There's always something to be made. You've got to be important. And it's also, nerves are important as well. Someone always, when I was younger and I was a bit of bit of an idiot, I always used to say to people, I'm the man with no nerves. And my dad would always start by saying, well, firstly, you're not a man, you're a boy. And second, nerves are important because it's a way of you respecting the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
And understanding it. If I'm not nervous when I walk into the first day at a new job, then there's something wrong. And the way, you're not unconfident if you're not nervous, but you've just got to learn to apply your confidence, however little or however much you may have, to your nerves. So it becomes, I'm nervous, but, and that but should be, I'm nervous, but I'm confident in my ability to deal with my nerves and get the best out of this situation that is making me nervous. But no, you're not unconfident at all. And good on you for fighting in.
Oh, that's okay. That's a sign of confidence. But no, just touching on what you were saying there, I think that being nervous in a situation is also a sign of growth.
Yeah.
Because if you say you've done that, or you've been involved in a certain situation many, many times, and you're used to it, then you're very unlikely to be nervous. Whereas if you're nervous in a situation, it sort of implies that you're not used to it. And therefore you're doing something new, therefore you're building your confidence. So I think they're almost synonymous with each other. You need to be nervous to build your confidence.
And if you don't want to be nervous, because nervous is an awful feeling, it can be. If you don't want to be nervous, think about this. All right. If you want to teach a kid to swim fast, you don't put him in the assistant aid things and put him in the shallow end of the pool. No. Depending on the age of the kid, obviously, you bring him round to the deep end and you shove him right in. Because guess what? They're going to swim. And by the very least, they're going to tread water. And when their legs start aching because they've been treading water so long, they'll have no choice but to swim.
It is about getting in the deep end, massively so.
It's got to. You really, and I don't want to sound like it's just some throwaway comment. And it might surprise you to hear two university students talking about something like this, when, yes, the people we have interviewed over these last 2 weeks are more experienced in this than us because they've lived more years and they know exactly what they're talking about. And we learn so much from them. But we do have some experience, and just giving it a go. And it doesn't always work out. Do you know how many times I've just failed at something? Oh, I can't tell you. But if your successes are big enough, they're big enough because you've learned something from your failures. And they're so big that no one ever notices your failures anymore. And the only way you get to that stage is by exactly how Sol's just said, getting in the deep end.
I saw a great, really, really great image, and I think it was talking about confidence, and there was a picture of an iceberg. And so obviously, if you're on the top of the water, say you're in a boat or something, and you see an iceberg, you only really see the top of it. And in a metaphorical sort of way, that's how people look at success, because the majority, and this is a fact here, the majority of an iceberg is actually submerged underwater. So people tend to focus just on what they can see. For example, the success. However, they don't understand everything that's below it, and all of the experience and all of the failures and all of the fucking hard work that creates that success and that image.
And like, I think, you know, just to end with, your success is not always what you think it's going to be as well. You know, Sol's been very lucky with getting, you know, your placement in college. Been very lucky at that. And, you know, when I started uni, I worked really hard every day because I thought that maybe I wasn't quite as smart as everyone else on my course, and I needed to. It was a packed course. And I didn't get any jobs at a law firm, but I got a job abroad, you know, as a graduate doing financial advising. So that in itself is like, I didn't know that was going to be my success, but it was, and I'm very happy about it. So sometimes you don't even need a goal. You just need a day where you wake up and you're like, I'm going to do this. And then you will always get rewarded. Something will happen. You just don't always think it's going to be a certain thing. Something's going to happen. It could be even better than anything you've imagined. Like in my case, you know, that's the way it goes. But anyway, just want to say a huge thanks, of course, to Alex, co-founder of Solvitur. Thanks for coming on, mate. It's been a lovely, chilled one. I hope everyone enjoys this format. We're planning on doing this like once every couple of weeks. So if everyone likes it, just let us know by DMing us. All the links for everything, of course, will be in the description. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day, morning, or evening, wherever you are. And remember, if not today, then when. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Cheers, guys.